I am happy to have the the core of the '84 Hoyas, Gene Smith and Michael Graham. I am so happy to have you guys here. Welcome to the show. What's going on, fellas?
Welcome, welcome. Thank you for welcoming us.
When I think of you, Mr. Graham, I think about the interior passing between you and Ewing and the '84 Final Four, the slam dunks and them high fives. Woo! I was watching that just a little while ago. I got chills, which made me feel good. You described that championship, man.
Well, it was a great feeling. It was all because basically I was ready to come home, and I didn't want to lose, and I know my teammates, especially them seniors, Gene and Fred. So they were sort of like pushing us, but yeah, it was a hard fought. My first time, really a long time away from home, so it was something different. But it was fun doing it.
Now,
Well,
when you went to Georgetown, just before I go to Gene,
mhm.
how did you get recruited and why'd you decide?
Well, actually, it all started. I was best friends with Coach Thompson's nephew, and I really didn't start playing basketball until my second time repeating the ninth grade. And the reason why I played, because I was out in the streets doing stuff I didn't have no business. And the reason
Mm-hmm.
why I played, I wound up taking somebody's property and getting caught. And in order for them not to send me away, you know, I had to do something with my life. I had to play basketball. My principal, and during that time I was in middle school, and my principal always wanted me to play because I was the tallest thing in middle school, and I just like doing my little petty crimes, and I would run to the museum for my education,
Oh,
Smithsonian.
okay.
And so the property I took was belonged to John Lucas, the
Oh,
former NBA player. Yeah, it was his
yes.
property taken. Yeah, and on that tennis court with him during that time that was playing with him, I didn't know the guy won the Wilmington, I think 74, Vitas Gerulaitis. So
Yep.
yeah, I didn't know who they were or what they were. I just seen tennis rackets in the bag that I can get me some cash for.
Well, now Gene, he comes onto the team. How were the practices when he was there with Ewing and Dalton, all those guys going at it? How was the practices?
Well, let me just start off by saying Michael Graham's performance in the Final Four um, has gone down in history
Yep.
as one of the most pivotal, one of the most instrumental performances by a freshman.
Hmm.
And I was a senior on that team. And Mike, during the year, we saw flashes of brilliance. Um, nobody practiced harder. Nobody left the gym quicker. Um, Mike was an anomaly. I gave Mike a moniker. I don't know how many years ago, and he uses it thankfully.
Mm.
He's the original one, and the reason why I called him the original one and done is because he only played 1 year at Georgetown, and probably could have gone pro.
Yeah.
Obviously, back then, but now he would have gone pro. Or he would have just stayed in school and got all this NIL money. Now,
Mm.
he was that raw, that natural. He was well known in DC. All met. Did you play in the McDonald's game, Michael?
Yep, yep.
Played in
All
the
American, yep.
All American. And as he mentioned, this is someone who wasn't dedicated to playing ball as a youth. Um, I, 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 I was just fortunate to play with him for 1 year. And the fact that he was so good defensively and so raw offensively, um, like I don't know if we win a national championship
Yeah.
without his performance.
Yeah. I
Uh,
want to get into this for both you guys.
Mhm.
That '84 biggest tournament of Syracuse. I saw the play, Graham. And I remember Boeheim was complaining, hey, I don't know what it was a touch, swing, or whatever. But that was a great game. They ended up winning. He was whining about it. How intense was that game? First Graham, then Eugene.
Yeah.
It was very intense. For one, I was wrong because I went after the wrong guy. It was the other guy on the other side, but I seen Andre there, and we fighting for the ball, and it was just the heat of the moment. It was that heat of the moment, and I wanted to play because that's when I really started playing. And I just didn't want to leave the game. And I was hoping coach didn't take me out, but I thought I was going to get thrown out, but that didn't happen. And then I heard about Boeheim going off, doing a press conference with throwing chairs. So, I guess it was some significance.
Yeah. And Gene, you had to deal with that darn, God rest his soul, Pearl Washington. I was screaming at the TV, somebody stop him.
Yeah, but we were only concerned about the W. So
got that W and the championship.
as long as we got the W. What was so interesting was you fast forward all these years, and Andre Hawkins, who was involved in that play with Big Graham, him and Graham birthdays on the same day. Like it's just so
same year and everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but the rivalry with Syracuse was always heated. Goes back way before both Graham and I got there.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the game went into overtime was obviously not good for them. But they had the last shot to win it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was just heated. All the Big East games were heated like that. I just think, I think we would be talking more about Georgetown had we won in 82, 84, and 85.
Well, unfortunately, I'm gonna get to 85.
So,
Now, I
so
want to talk about you before. I mean to cut you. I want to talk about your all-time great moment because Kentucky was just wiping everyone out, and nobody could stand. I mean, nobody could stand in front of Dickie Beal. He was zipping past everybody, and I'm like, okay, we got to stop him. We got to stop those Twin Towers. And you did a number on Dickie Beal, and that is my all-time. That's the biggest. That is just like that's why I consider you the best on the ball defender in the history of the sport in college.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
but I mean, fam, I got Graham in the back, I got Pat in the back, I got look, I can take all the chances I want because you going down in that hole, you gonna get it thrown out. Um, but Plan D was a hallmark at Georgetown.
Mm,
I've heard Graham tell the story that he saw us play in '83, and he realized we were missing a power forward
mm,
because Big Mike was going to Maryland.
yeah.
Yeah, I had already signed and everything. I signed a letter of intent on my way.
So
Wow.
he the power forward, and you factor in Reggie was coming in. Reggie Williams comes in that year. Um, you know, it was meant to be, and I just love the fact that Graham was from DC. He played like he was from DC. I was from DC. I played like I was from DC.
Mm.
Him both came from the same conference, the Inner High,
Yep.
DC. Um, and again, him and Reggie coming in there as freshmen. We had
Mm.
two freshmen on that team and two seniors. Um, I just, I reminisce what it would have been like if Mike had stayed 3 years. Yeah,
Yeah, in the Houston game, I was very confident. I was a little nervous about Kentucky. I was confident, especially without Drexler, that you guys were going to. And then you got hurt because Alvin Franklin was not going to get all those points if you didn't get hurt.
but
But
Brian, I'd like for you to ask Mike because Mike was a freshman on that team.
mm-hmm.
Played a little bit, he got minutes during the year, but nothing on the level of what he did in the Final Four. What was his feelings as a freshman on that team?
Oh yeah.
And what does he think would have happened had he stayed? Because I've heard him talk about it, but not really talk about it. But I would
Yeah,
make this.
you know what? We won the national championship. The following year, I'm like, yeah, we got Graham coming. We're going to repeat. What happened?
Well, a lot of things happened. one, we all human. Coach is human. The people that work for him human. I'm human. But it was a lot of stuff that me personally, wasn't used to when I got to Georgetown. Number one was Miss Finley, even though she might have been a sweet woman, but she never was to me. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of things that been said during the year. I was told one time during the year that not to cut my hair no more because I'm scaring people on campus. This comes from the basketball office.
Oh my!
You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of stuff that took place, a lot of stuff that people don't know. I basically after I found out that I wasn't playing much, I'm gonna tell you where I really got upset. We was playing Providence, in Providence, and I think I scored the first like 5 buckets, and all of a sudden he sit me down and ain't play me no more. I had an issue with that. I did. I had an issue with that, and then there was spots here and there, and then the freshmen couldn't talk to the press, and it was a lot of stuff that I wasn't used to. Me being, coming from a single parent home where I was the man of the house. And then I'm going to university where this Caucasian woman telling me certain things that my mother didn't even tell me.
Whoa.
So I wasn't going to tolerate that. And yeah, me and Coach had our differences. But I the one told him when I was at Spingarn, I seen what happened in high school when they played Memphis State. I knew what they needed.
Yeah.
And I contacted him. And I told him I can win you 4 championships if you give me an opportunity. But see, he was being sneaky, going around recruiting me, asking everybody about me, my reputation. He would ask his nephew, and his nephew would tell him, Mike ain't nothing like people think, this rough cat that people say he is. He's not like that. And, turned out I wasn't like that. But yeah, it was a bit of differences. And I felt like if I would have stayed, we would have won a lot more.
Oh, you'd definitely be a Villanova because you'd have been able to deal with Pickney and all those guys. You were that extra factor that would have got Georgetown over the hump. And then if they had 5-year seniors like they do now, Gene would have played, and McLean wouldn't have got nothing, and that would have been it'd have been easy. It'd have been back to back.
When he got hurt doing Kentucky, I got sick. I seen it was his ankle and they carrying him off. I got sick. I really got sick. I'm like, wow. Who's going? Because we didn't have nobody to play defense like Gene Smith. Well, nobody on our team. You had guys that can try, but most of them was offensive players, shooters, but they wasn't a Gene Smith. So by the time we got to Kentucky, and we in the warm-ups, and I'm looking, and I see all of them from Kentucky smirking and looking at me laughing. And I knew right there we had him.
Oh, yeah.
I knew right there we had him. I just felt like if we had Gene, we would have blew him out. We would have blew them out.
But Mike,
definitely.
You touched on some things that I think Ron's audience would appreciate.
What's that?
Never get the full story. Is there a way? Is there something coming that we can hear the full story of Michael Graham?
I'm on chapter 8 of this book. It's my biography saying why I played. My year at Georgetown. And I'm telling everybody it's not to step on nobody's toes. It's not to make anybody mad. But I'm entitled to tell my story, and I got a story. And when I left, it's like because of his grades, because of this, because of that.
Yeah, I heard a man tell you.
When the coach tell you were eligible to play but by NCAA, but not by his rules, then you messing me up.
Yep.
You gonna tell me that I was eligible to play and you didn't play me in the big game?
Ugh.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
that wasn't cool. I heard stories about guys going to Georgetown and leaving. Some of the best players.
Yep.
The year before I came, they had the number 1 player in the country, Anthony Jones. So it's a lot to it. It's a very difficult thing, as far as it ain't the university you got to worry about getting in. You got to worry about Miss Finley and Coach Thompson because they're going to drill you. They're going to see if you can read. They're going to see if you can write. They're going to see how intelligent you are. They're going to see all that. They want to know all that. They want to know all that.
If
So
you'd have
I mean,
played
that's
another,
where it's at. It was strange. It was real strange. It was strange for a university. It really
yeah,
was.
you know what? If you'd have played another thing, you'd have got in front of Scott Skiles when he was doing all that talking. You'd have handled that, and then Danny and the Miracles, y'all probably would have definitely beat Indiana because y'all wouldn't have put up with that Bob Knight nonsense.
None of that didn't happen. When I was really pissed because I was watching the game live. Come to day, that's the only time I said when I cut the game off when Patrick fell on his butt when somebody came down the middle. No help. He had no help. Patrick fell on his ass trying to stop all these defenders. That's what it was. Exactly what it was. Because they wouldn't have came in and shot no fucking 60 something. Oh, I'm sorry. Shot no 60+%.
I understand.
It wouldn't have happened.
All right, now we have a short. They only give me 30 minutes on Zoom. So what I want to talk about for both you guys is if you're in a time machine and you're now, what kind of NIL money are you making first, Graham, then Gene?
Well, I was tough. We went to the banquet, our 40th anniversary banquet. I was told that I'd be at least worth $10 million. Yeah, that's what they said, $10 million.
What about you, Gene?
I think whatever the school would have paid me, I would have been able to double in the marketplace. Because Graham, like myself, being from DC, we have a hustler's mentality. So for me, I would have leveraged the way I played in the open market. I would have leveraged it in the local market. And I would have branded myself and marketed myself. I would have figured out a way because what's missing is the education of NIL for the players.
Okay.
Because it's different now.
Right. Yep.
When Mike played, when I played, people came after you. There was no social media. There was people in between. Yep. With the way it is now, I can market myself via Instagram, via Twitter, via TikTok, via whatever. And I can approach people, I can approach brands and form my own relationships. So I think, say if the school paid me a couple $100,000, I would have figured out a way to make a couple $100,000 myself, just going out and positioning myself, doing relationships. And I don't think the kids quite understand that because if you see the way the kids handle social media, they show themselves in front of their car or they show themselves with an outfit or, you know what I mean? I would be tagging brands. Like if I wore something, I'd let a brand know that I'm wearing it.
Yeah, because you're letting that money make more money.
Yeah, I would hook up with Mike on something like go after defense contractor or a consumer goods brand. Mike with the bald head. If I would go to Mr. Clean.
Yeah.
You know what
Smart.
I mean? But the kids aren't doing that. The kids are still waiting for brands to come after them. It's a different world now.
Yeah.
But Mike, without a doubt, and I just want to interject with Mike because again, I played 1 year with him. I played his only year at Georgetown. He played my senior year at Georgetown. I was there. He was a marketer's dream. Like, the way we were vilified by the press, people are attracted to that.
Yes.
People are attracted to that energy. Like watching Georgetown play back there was must see TV. You either loved us or hated us. So I think we would have figured out a way. The biggest, I think the biggest challenge would have been how Big John.
Yes.
Because if you read Big John.
Hey, Rob, I got a question for you.
Yes.
Maybe you can answer this. You want to tell me why we don't have a 30 for 30?
I don't know, but did you guys watch SMU 30 for 30, the Pony Express?
Yeah.
Okay, the guy who's the director of that is Matul, is my friend, and he says if
Uh-huh.
I ever want to run an idea by him to do it and
Hmm.
see if it has traction. So that is a thought. If you guys have a good idea, you want to run it by me. We're me and Gene are always talking. So this is my
Oh,
you
So
guys are
because
my
I
network.
always been trying to I always, and Gene know this too, and I know I can work with Gene, but I always been trying to get the fellas together. I mean, except Patrick if he wants to or not, because Patrick making his own money. But if the fellas were smart enough, we get together and work this thing, man, with Georgetown, because
Okay.
we were the first to do it. You understand? We could get NIL money now. You
Mm,
understand? We supposed to get it now. Even if I see guys like Marcus Corlett and all them doing commercials, they back then. Why not us? You know,
because
I
you
see
made the hey, you made the biggies.
Michigan.
Yeah, you're right.
Mhm.
You're right.
Yeah, yeah. Michigan got a 30 for 30. Who else? Villanova. But all they did is the Big East, and that's everything. You know, which included us, but it really didn't include the players. It included Coach and Pat, which that's when they was trying to sell the Big East. You know, because it was the first year we played in it, you know. So yeah, and man, if we could ever do that, I mean, we're entitled to it, man. I feel very disrespected. You know, I keep
And
hearing a
you
lot of
it'll get a
things.
lot of attraction because um they talk about Hoya paranoia. And before I leave you guys explain to what Hoya paranoia was in reality.
Gene,
well,
you know, because I figured out to be Coach Thompson paranoid. I wasn't paranoid. I mean, honest to God, I wasn't paranoid. I just wondered why we stayed 100 miles away from the place we was playing at or
Mm,
had to practice.
well, uh, I was there. I got there in '80, and Georgetown was just bursting onto the scene. And
Uh-huh.
Big John ran this program in a way that it wasn't really accessible to the media. Mike touched on it when he said freshmen couldn't talk to the press until the second semester, until
Right.
January of their freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so a lot of this stems from just the relationship with the media, and then the way we played
it was
kind of
awesome.
that.
I
Uh,
love the way you played. It was Hoya paranoia defense. Listen, they're giving me the run out of time sign on Zoom. We got
well,
to
Okay.
do this
you can
again.
have the great.
You got my attention. I lived out my dream. I got both you guys. We got to do this some more. I'm gonna call you after this, and we're gonna might set something up again because we got
That's
to go
fine.
further into this. Graham, this you made my day, man. I'm glad I got answers to what went on, man.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot that went on. A lot.
Hey,
Yeah,
big thank you for coming through, Mike. I appreciate
yeah.
you.
Come on,
Thank you.
man.
And
For you,
listen,
anything, man.
let's work on what we talked about. I'll try to make it happen.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Okay.
All
Cool.
right,
Thanks.
have a great weekend.